Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Tech Gamers World. In this video, I'm going to provide you with an unboxing and review of an Engenius Technologies 8-port cloud-managed power over Ethernet switch. Now I'm going to use this switch to provide home networking services and power over Ethernet to all the wireless access points in my house. So stay tuned, let's open this thing up and find out how cool it is. Let's do this. Okay everyone, welcome back. So here we have the managed power over Ethernet switch box from Engenius Technologies. It's just your standard box, cardboard, nothing special there. On the side is the specifications about the device. So again, this is from Engenius Technologies. The model is ECS1008P. It is an 8-port gigabit layer 2 managed power over Ethernet switch. So layer 2 means it operates at the data link layer of a networking stack, and PoE means power over Ethernet. That means it sends electricity back through the network cable to turn on devices such as phones, wireless access points, or anything else that supports the PoE or 802.3 technology. So it says here Engenius Cloud enabled. So these switches can both be locally configured or cloud configured. I'm going to go with the cloud configuration to manage it. This is an 8-port gigabit Ethernet switch. It provides a complete lineup of essential layer 2 plus management features. IEEE 802.3 AF PoE on all 8 ports with 55 watts total PoE budget. So basically, 802.3 AF is one of the original PoE technologies. It predates 802.3 AT, stuff like that, which I'll explain in a little bit as we talk here, the differences. But basically, this sends about 15 watts of power max from each port. This is a hybrid switch mode, supports multiple management options. This package contains the switch, power adapter, power cord, wall mount kit, quick installation guide. So let's go ahead and open it up. I'm going to go ahead here and point the camera down so everybody can see what's going on here. There we go. Move this out of the way. All right. So we're opening up the box here. Here we've got the quick installation guide. And your typical instructions on how to get the switch up and working in a quick and timely manner. We'll go ahead here and just sit that to the side. All right, so here we have the actual switch. So as you can see, it is an 8-port switch. On the back, we have the power input and an on-off switch. Let's go ahead here and take it out. So again, this particular switch supports power over Ethernet 802.3 AF on all 8 ports. As you can see here, we've got some lights on the side here, indicators. There's power, fault, PoE max, LAN mode, PoE mode, LED mode, and a reset button. On the bottom here, we've got specifications about the switch, a QR code, serial numbers, MAC addresses, check code, and where it was made, the hardware version it came in pre-configured with, and just other regulatory and compliance information. So let's go ahead to here and we'll put the actual switch to the side. Let's see what else we have in the box here. So we have the power cable and power adapter. And it looks like we have the some glue, sticky pads and screws. go ahead here and move the box out of the way. So here is the power adapter for the switch and the power cable. Basically the power cable here plugs into your wall or your UPS or surge protector outlet, and then this end plugs into the power adapter like so. You would then connect the power adapter, into the switch right here and turn the switch on. So why does you see a power adapter? So size. Now the configuration of this switch has a very small footprint. So the considerations to that are there's no room inside for the power supply. So they give you these to convert your wall power to stepping it down to 54 volts to power this switch. So again, like I said, there's no room in here for the power adapter. So that's why you have this external unit, which is perfectly fine. Now I like this a lot. This is very lightweight. It looks very easy to mount on a wall. It does come with the screw kit with wall plugs. Now you don't need to use these. If you were to drill into a stud, obviously depending on how your wall layout is, you don't necessarily need these. These are only used if you're going to be mounting the switch to a wall where there are no studs. But if you were to find a stud in your wall, you would put the screws in line on the stud and then just drill them in, and you would not need to use these plugs. Now that's not always the case. Alternatively, if you're installing this in a 2-post rack environment or a 4-post rack environment, you would not use these at all. You could get third-party rail kits for some things like these. This looks like sticky tape to sit. If you had to stick it to something, it looks like. Probably not going to use this. So this seems very lightweight. It seems very well built. I'm excited about to try this out and see how it works. Again, I plan on using this to power 3 APs throughout my house using the 802.3 AF power over Ethernet technology that is available on all ports. Now, why did I get a switch that's 802.3 AF versus AT? So I typically like my access points, wireless access points, to be 2x2 radios. They don't require that much power. Most of them max out at about 15 watts or lower. So 802.3 AF is perfect. If you were to get 802.3 AT, you can get more PoE Ethernet ports that send more power through the line. But I don't need that because I don't need 4x4 radios on my access points. I've got at most 10 devices connecting that are mostly phones, iPads, Apple TVs, regular TVs, laptops, Surfaces, stuff like that. There's nothing crazy. So a 4x4 radio is going to be way too much for what I would ever need. So that's what makes an 802.3 AF switch better. And typically they're cheaper. So again, if you're going to have, you need to look at the specs of what you're going to be powering through the power over Ethernet to determine what standard you want, whether it's 802.3 AF, AT, or the newest BT, stuff like that. BT is like 90 watts or something like that. So you're not going to see devices that need that kind of power, especially in a home or a small business. Now, this switch would be great for a small business, but again, would have to be a very small business with minimal ports because your firewall connection or your ISP connection, depending on your modem firewall connections, is going to take up a minimum of 1 port, maybe even 2, depending on your configurations. That only leaves 6 ports left. So you need to take that into account. For me, from a home point of view, I can actually move this back up now. From a home point of view, this thing is great because I don't have that much. I've got my internet connection coming in from my modem, and then literally 3 wireless access points, and that's it. I don't have any other wired stuff anywhere. Everything is purely wireless. So I think this is going to be really cool because right now, my current wireless access points are powered through PoE injectors that I've got mounted on the wall, plugged in. They're consuming, 2 different power outlets when I only need really 1. Then I can power the access points through this switch. So that is what my plan is going to be. And I do intend on replacing my current access points with Engenius Wi-Fi 6 access points as well. I'm actually going to have a separate video for an unboxing of the Engenius ECW220 wireless access points, which utilize the newest Wi-Fi 6 standard. So I'm super excited about that. I've got some specs on these switches I can share with you here. Just kind of pull them up. So again, like I said, this is a ECS1008P switch. It is a cloud-managed power over Ethernet switch. It has 8 ports here. All 8 ports support 802.3, 802.3U, 802.3AB, or 802.3X. So what are those? They're the networking standards for Ethernet. 802.3 is the 10 base T, so 10 megs a second. 802.3U is 100 base TX, which is 100 megs a second transmit and receive. 802.3AB is 1000 base T, or 1 gig per second. That's the standard pretty much everybody has and uses these days. And these also support 802.3 full duplex full control, which means they can send and receive and listen at the same time. This has 16 gigs of switching capacity. And again, it is 802.3 AF on all ports. Very important you make sure you get the right power over Ethernet depending on what your use case is. This switch has a total PoE budget of 55 watts. It's got the LED indicators, fault indicators, PoE max, LAN mode, PoE mode. The ports, the link activity lights, you can see them here, green, yellow, depending on which speed. Green would be 1 gig. Usually the yellow would be 100 megs. It all depends on the switch, but usually that's the standard. It can support a MAC address table of 8,000 entries. It can do jumbo frames. You'll never really use jumbo frames that much anymore. Haven't really used them in years. Trust mode, it can do a lot of stuff with that. Bandwidth control, you can do port-based bandwidth control, ingress and egress. So what is that? If you have a device that sends a lot of traffic over the network, you can throttle that back so that it doesn't consume the entire switch bandwidth, your network bandwidth, stuff like that, which is really cool. Port security, ACL, access control list, MAC-based ACL. So what are those? If I can program into this switch to tell it what kind of devices can connect through access control lists, MAC-based ACL. So for example, if I have a wireless access point that's got a MAC address, I can program that MAC address into these switches and tell it that only those devices with certain MAC addresses can connect. So say somebody comes in and tries to plug into my network. They can't because their MAC address won't be programmed into the switch, which is really cool. This supports SNMP version 1 V2C, V3, which is the V3 is the newest. System time supports automatic daylight savings time, stuff like that. This supports all your common layer 2 features, 802.1D spanning tree, a loopback detection multicast, IGMP, 802.1Q, which is VLAN tagging, super important if you virtually segment your networks, whether it's a small business or a residence. Some residents do, believe it or not, do VLANing. Depends, again, on the size of a house and the use cases. Wireless. If you're going to do wireless with a secure wireless and a guest wireless, you might do VLANing at the switch level, or you might just have it controlled through the access points. So that's where VLANing comes in. Flow control, link aggregation, or 802.3 AD. You can bond ports to work together to act as one port, so you can actually get, say, up to 2 gigs of bandwidth per port. You'd have to be moving pretty heavy data, especially in a residence or a small business, to benefit from something like that. DHCP relays, DHCP snooping, stuff like that, listening, making sure that there's not like blowouts on your network with DHCP. ARP inspection, packet validation, voice VLAN, port-based VLAN, protocol-based VLAN, COS mapping, IPv4, IPv6, IEEE 802.3 AZ, energy efficient Ethernet. That's something new that's starting to come out into the switches. Basically, only sends the minimum amount of power needed through the ports. So that's just a way to help save energy. This has a CLI, a command line interface, an SSH server, a telnet server, a TFTP client. That would be, you would use it if you wanted to connect into the switch and do manual configurations, manual firmware updates, or any other types of configurations. Supports obviously configuration upgrades and backups. Simple Network Time Protocol, or SNTP, sorry. Syslog, super important if you're doing logging. You can export those syslogs to log collectors, such as a third-party automated service that monitors network devices logs, something like that. SolarWinds, for example. It does 802.1d spanning tree. Spanning tree is a way to prevent loops. If you plug in, say, another switch into this and create a loop, it'll shut down the one port to not kill your whole network. Temperature range, this is super important. It operates from 32 degrees Fahrenheit to 104 degrees Fahrenheit. So 104 degrees Fahrenheit, while it sounds like a lot, really is not that much. I thought about putting one of these up in my attic, but during the summer I measured it and it gets up to 120 degrees up there, and it's pure humidity. So basically the internal circuitry in these things would rot out super quick and just short circuit probably and turn off. They do make industrial-based switches for climates like that are either really, really cold or really, really hot. I'm going to mount this in my office where basically my MDF is, so to speak. And then I have cabling run through my house to my access points. So temperature is not a concern. Humidity is super important. Operating range is 5% to 95%. So again, you would not want to put this device in a spot that's going to be super duper, super humid, because it'll essentially kill the device and void your warranty. This device weighs 1.36 pounds. Like I said, is really light. It's 9.44 inches long, 4.13 inches wide, and height is 1.06 inches. So warranty, this comes with a 2-year warranty, and it's certified CE, FCC, IC, has all the normal stuff. So I am super excited about this switch. If anybody has any questions or comments or would like to know something specific about it, definitely drop a comment on this video and let me know. And as always, if everybody could subscribe to the channel, click that like button, and make sure you enable notifications so you're alerted when I drop new and exciting content, that would be really awesome. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see everybody soon.